Hello.
Hello.
We're back.
We are back, and we're both alive. And we had a rather traumatic event.
A close call.
Very close call. The alarms went off at the Vancouver Library. And very similar to the raid of Entebbe during the Olympics in the mid-'70s.
With less tragic consequences.
Less guns, no plane, no hostages. But nonetheless, the feeling of being taken over by some unforeseen force. And the alarm went off in the library. I'm not sure if they evacuated anyone. Johnny and I didn't leave because we didn't want to leave our podcast. We didn't want to leave our vlog. We didn't want to leave the integrity of what we're trying to do.
This is episode 7.5. Do you want to call it that?
Yeah, and we're just starting over now.
The saga continues.
Apparently, a couple of street chaps had the munchies.
Ne'er-do-wells.
And they came in because they saw it was a library, or it looked like,
mischief makers.
And they thought there would be like maybe a box of donuts lying around from someone in the library.
Love their donuts.
Right, but then the security guards, which they're everywhere in the Vancouver Library, would not let them in because the alarms went off. And the alarms went off before they tried to steal the donuts. And so at the end of the day, we don't know why the alarm went off. I can tell you my guess. Johnny can tell you his guess.
The pull station.
No, somebody was, somebody found some rock in the alley, and they put it in their pipe, and they sparked her up.
Yeah, it might have been a heat detector.
And they probably smoked a rock, and then
crack
realized...
detector.
A crack... That's why he's a writer. But we don't know. Anyways, the alarm's off, so we had
in the past.
We had to stop, and
we're back.
We are back, and we're alive. And the actual, don't tell anyone, the donuts are in my bag right here. In case there's anyone here, because people do anything for donuts, right? Especially if you're a writer or someone reading a novel.
But
Johnny,
Hortons, eh? Okay, is it my choice now?
It is. Well, I mean, I believe so. We'll find out.
I'm going to go with Franklin W. Dixon.
Ooh.
When I was a kid, my mom used to buy me the Hardy Boys in paperback, Frank and Joe Hardy, a couple of very clean-cut, good-natured teenagers, and their dad was an FBI agent, and every book they just met the most horrible people doing horrible things. There was always a mystery, and I love the Hardy Boys as much as I love my Spider-Man and Superman and Fantastic Four comic books. I'm pretty sure that the Hardy Boys books are still being pumped out today.
Yeah.
There's been numerous TV shows. There was the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew Mysteries, back in the 1970s with Sean Cassidy and Parker Stevenson.
Used to watch that.
And again, I always like stories where the main character is someone that I can look up to, someone who's presenting a good. The other characters can be whatever they are, but I like a story where the protagonist is someone that I can really look up to, not necessarily perfect, but has a moral code that they stand for. So that's my choice, Franklin W. Dixon.
I love that.
Creator of the Hardy Boys.
And I did read those prolifically myself, all of them. And the female ones, not the Hardy Boys,
Nancy
but
Drew?
yeah.
You read those too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that
very
was
progressive.
Well, I was in Cub Scouts, right? There was girls in Cub Scouts and boys, and they weren't in ours. But I mean, I was like, okay, so what are the girls reading? Oh, I like the Hardy
Do you remember
Boys.
that cartoon from the late '60s? Oh boy, here come the Hardys. Do you remember that? They were a rock band. It was the same characters, but they were also musicians.
I do. Wasn't there an album from?
Very catchy song.
J. What was that? Anyways.
Anyway, that's my next choice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Paul, what's your next choice?
Well,
the world wants to know.
I'm going to go back to my roots as in theater and acting, and of course I love movies and television. I'm going to go with David Mamet.
Great choice.
And
great writer. Glenn Ross.
I mean,
on and on.
My favorite of all of his works, and he's got some good stuff. That movie was incredible. I mean, it was about real estate, of course, and
how accurate did that movie portray the world of real estate?
Extremely accurate, but that was back in the 70s. 70s or maybe late 70s, early 80s, I believe. Glenn Ross, and the powerhouse acting.
Yeah.
So
Ed Harris,
great writing.
Jack
I
Lemmon,
mean, Pacino.
Al Pacino.
Adam
Arkin,
Christopher Walken,
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
Always be closing.
I mean, I've had several of my old managing brokers
What a
used to
jerk.
say that all the time, and I'd be like, closing? The door when I leave? After
Get
you
the
fire my
signature.
ass for not closing? Okay. So, yeah, I'd go
Jack Lemmon's character. is
David
so-
Mamet. I mean,
yeah.
he's got Glenn Ross, which he's known for probably more than anything. He's got lots of his stuff that he wrote that ended up on TV and film.
He wrote The Untouchables.
Homicide, The Edge, Wag the Dog, House of Games,
Wow.
Ronin,
Great.
The Verdict
TV.
with
Oh, The
Paul
Verdict.
Newman.
That is one of my all-time favorites.
The Untouchables.
Paul Newman. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Newman's one
And
of
he
my
also co-created with Sean Ryan a show about the Delta Force called The Unit.
favorites. That was awesome.
Yeah, which I watched very faithfully.
I love
Yeah,
that.
Good show.
Really good show. So that'd be mine. Who's yours?
Nice.
Next.
Okay, I'm going to go with, let's see here. I'm going to go with CJ Box. He writes modern day Westerns. He created a character called Joe Pickett, which I think is an Amazon series right now. Joe Pickett is, again, another clean-cut, square-jawed, everyday good guy who's a game warden of all things. I mean, his job is basically to catch. He has a very routine kind of job. He just like tickets people who are hunting deer when they're out of season, and he'll discover
As
a
you
dead
should.
body, and it all leads to some like global conspiracy. He has
You
the worst luck.
occasionally discover a dead body. It's
Yeah.
normal.
And so again, I like to read. I like series. I like books. There's one, and then there's another one, and
Keep
then
you coming
another one.
back.
It's like entering a parallel universe, and the characters are getting older. He's got 3 daughters, and they're getting older, and I like that feeling of continuity and reality. So CJ Box is my next choice.
It sounds like something I'd really enjoy because I
Yeah.
agree with you totally.
And he has a friend named Nate Romanowski, who is a former Navy SEAL, who's a total ruthless kind of badass type of character. So I like that yin and yang, where you have one hero who's more kind-hearted and maybe a little bit more compassionate, and you have another hero who's just like, scorch the earth.
Yeah. No, nice.
I like that chemistry.
And
Sort
we're
of yin and yang.
we're starting to catch up again here, I'm gonna in our prep, because we always try to do a prep before we do a show, because one of the unique things that Johnny and I do, aside from being unique in our own little vibe, in our own skin, is we don't really edit. Now they're telling everybody else what really happened, and that is the junkie did actually steal the donuts. There wasn't 12 donuts remaining, there was only 2. They said there was only 1.5. That's really detailed for the library. I really appreciate
The
that.
great donut caper.
So they got 1 anyways. And hopefully they still get nailed outside for having the balls to come into the Vancouver Library and
Family
interrupt
friendly.
the Great Canadian Bro Show.
Yeah. How dare they?
It's
I mean-
it's unacceptable.
It is.
But Johnny and I are okay because
But there are hiccups in life.
we actually had donuts ourselves. I brought donuts, but just in case one of them's still around, I'm not going to give up my freaking donut to some junkie. Okay?
There you go.
No.
No.
You got to stand your ground.
You have to draw the line somewhere in life. Otherwise, you're just at everybody
I just
else's
drew it.
mercy. Right?
Dude. And
Stand
so,
your ground.
yeah, stay in your lane, junkie bro. So I'm going to go.
Stay home if you have one.
I'm going to go with a guy that, probably fascinating if you wanted to get drunk with them. And until he just apparently could drink until the oblivion.
Oh,
But I'm going to
John
go with,
Leister.
well, it's only on the weekends.
True.
But I'm going to go Ernest Hemingway.
Wow. Deep
Yeah,
cut.
when I finally found out about the dude, and I was down in Florida, and I visited his old home,
Oh, really?
and one of his cats was still alive. I think he had 8 cats or something, and one was actually still alive, and it was like 22 years old, and the thing didn't even move. And they said, "Don't touch him, don't bother him." But I walked in, I looked at him, and went, and I was like, "Cool, man." Ernest was just reaching out to me through his
Wow.
last cat. True story. And hard living dude. He was a man's man in the 40s and 30s, 40s, 50s.
I think he, I don't really know very much about him, but he drove an ambulance during World War I.
He was in, don't know if it was World War I. Yeah, maybe. No, I don't think he was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was. That's
Yeah.
true. And he survived, and he was a prolific writer, and he loved Florida, and he loved to drink, and he loved cigars because he's close to Cuba, and this is before the whole, the whole thing. But if you look at some of the content, I mean, The Sun Also Rises, A Farewell to Arms, Old Man in the Sea, To Have or Have Not. You can go on.
Classics.
They're
I
all
haven't
classics.
read them, but
and they're all like
Published
like
all over the
hard
world.
drinkers,
Right.
men, fishing,
Life
hunting,
livers.
that sort of thing. Nothing like me at all.
Oh, you say that.
No, but it's true. But I just, there's something about the dude. There was a darkness about him, and you know, being raised in an Irish and Icelandic family, and then dealing with people that love to imbibe, always became something that was. And from the earliest stages of my life, it was like, just be cognizant of that. And why is that? Well, when you're in an Irish and Icelandic family, I don't think I need to answer that. Probably two of the hardest core drinking nations in the world. And I'm the first.
Canada, of course.
I'm the first. No, this is globally. I'm the first in our family of Irish and Icelandic. My mother was the oldest child. I was the first grandchild. And I'm still here, and I'm almost 60. So, and I still imbibe on a part-time basis or a more de-escalated level. But I certainly appreciate...
We care about our livers.
Well, I mean, the liver is the most amazing organ next to the brain and heart.
2 sips of water for every sip of alcohol. I'm pretty good at that.
John, if Johnny and I go drinking together, which is once a year,
much.
he'll have 1 beer and 2 glasses of water.
Yeah, no, I'm
so he's
anal
good.
about
He's
that.
good about that.
Yeah, I'm very disciplined that way.
Yeah.
Ernest Hemingway's daughter or granddaughter was Mariel Hemingway, who starred in that movie Star 80.
Wow,
about Dorothy
I remember her.
Stratton with Eric Roberts.
That's a nice little
Great
tidbit.
movie. Am I up next?
Yeah, you're up
Okay,
next.
my next choice now, I did mention him on a previous podcast, but I really feel that I need to give a shout out to Robert B. Parker, who's a Boston-based writer. He created a character called Spencer, Private Detective, which was a TV series with Robert Urich and Avery Brooks back in the day, back in the 1980s.
Yep.
And I read his books one after the other compulsively in my 20s. And that was the genesis of Lee Hacklin. Because I remember reading these books in my 20s, and Spencer, you never know if Spencer is his first name or his last name. Everybody just refers to him as Spencer.
I think it was his middle name.
I remember, or it could be. I remember thinking, I think I can do this, and then that is a great indicator.
Oh, Johnny can do it.
That yes, I can. I don't know if I can do it well, but I can pump it out.
Yes, you can do it well.
Thank you, Pauly.
But is pumping it out doing it well, or is it doing it well and pumping it out?
The point is the doing. The point, whether it's good or not.
Which is why
it'd be
we're
nice
doing
if
this
it was
channel.
good.
It's
Right.
all about starting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I read his books, and again, just very likable characters and very irredeemable villains. And if you read the first 10 or 15 books, Spencer's getting older, he puts on weight, like he's chasing after bad guys sometimes, and he runs out of breath. He needs glasses. I mean, I just love living in that sort of parallel universe.
Oh, we're living in it, all right.
Yeah, and I just laugh out loud so often at his stuff. And a great observer of human nature. And that's what I love about the detective genre. The detective, the private investigator, is sort of like going through life and encountering all these different kinds of people and getting like the whole spectrum of people and all their tics and all the neuroses and all of the ways that we think that are so debilitating. And yet you have this main character who's able to stay true to himself even when it feels like the whole world is conspiring against him. And I love that. I love this kind of story, like one individual versus everybody else. Which is kind of a through line to the way I write and to many of these other authors that I've mentioned before.
You can see the passion, you can hear the passion, you can feel the passion.
Feel the power.
John is so eloquent. That's why he's a great writer.
Thank you.
Regardless of his 13s, they could be size.
I'll try not to cry.
No, I was going to say his size 15s. He just put his shoe up down here, and I
Sorry about that.
Seriously, it could be a small. It could be a small island off the coast of Belize. The thing is so huge. It's unbelievable.
Bigfoot is alive and well.
Feet like Biverine. Anyways, so that was
on your list, Pauly.
That was really good. Well, I'm going to go right into it's perfect timing. Once again, Johnny talks about all the things I'm going to say next because he already knows what, for some reason, he already knows what I want to say, and I love the same genres. No, I'm going to go into the spy genre, which we both love, and I'm going to go with John le Carré. Probably one of my favorite.
A more cerebral Ian Fleming, right?
I mean,
I've never read any of his books, but he's very famous.
he is, and
Is he an actual spy?
yes,
Okay.
yes, and so was Ian Fleming, but
Right.
that's in a different part because I also have that on my list later. But John just blew it for me.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about John le Carré,
Bad boy.
and John le Carré, as everyone says, but it's Carré. The Spy Who Came In from the Cold. If you haven't seen
George Smiley.
a lot of these have been movies, and they're all.
And
that's
Alec
how
Guinness played him in the 70s, I believe.
I love Alec Guinness.
Sir Alec Guinness. Obi-Wan.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. The Little Drummer Girl.
And you've read all these books?
All of them. The Russian House. The Night Manager.
I'm interested in those.
The Tailor of Panama. Oh, fantastic. The Constant Gardener. The Perfect Spy. I mean, it just goes on. Very prolific.
Sorry, just spat. And George Smiley is the central character of all these
That
books.
was on my left kneecap.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. When Johnny spits, it depends on if it goes through the middle of his teeth. He's got one space here. That will go there.
It's a
but
holy
then
blessing.
if it hits one of the teeth and then ricochets,
I'm foaming at the mouth with passion.
I'm wearing my favorite golf shorts on right now because I'm going to the beach at Jericho after, and oh, it's dried up already.
1,000 pardons.
It's incredible. Look, it happens. I
does.
occasionally spit, or not accidentally. If you even call that spitting, it could be coming from a different orifice. We don't even know.
An Altoid. Family friendly.
Oh my goodness. John le Carré. John, can you better that?
No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty much my whole list.
No.
I mean, I've got a few others.
I still have four more.
William W. Johnstone is another one of my favorite authors. He's passed away. This man wrote like hundreds of novels, mostly westerns. He wrote a post-apocalyptic series called Out of the Ashes, and just on and on. His niece, J.A. Johnstone, who I'm not sure if she's a Facebook friend, but I do post a lot of pictures of myself holding their books on their Facebook pages. She has picked up the reins since William W. And again, very old school kind of writing, like just very, very good characters and very evil characters, and right is right and wrong is wrong. Old school values, which I like to believe are universal values. Nothing preachy, nothing woke. I'm not into a lot of stuff that's written nowadays, and I don't want to get on my high horse about it. But like no political correctness, just the kinds of values and morals that I think that most people are pretty much on board with. So that's my next choice, William W. Johnstone.
Wow. See, I have no idea, but I love the Western genre.
Yeah, if you go to a bookstore and walk into the Western, and you'll see like the shelf.
I'm
like three
familiar with the
shelves.
name. I've just never read his.
And a lot of his stuff is
works.
available for free online. Do you
Wow.
know about the Internet Archive?
No.
If you go to the Internet Archive and if you type in your favorite author, you'll get digitalized versions of your favorite books for free.
Do they have your stuff?
Yeah. No, none of my stuff, unfortunately. But
Not yet.
That's not yet. Maybe after I die.
Are you a literary agent? Are you looking for fresh new talent?
Content. If you're looking for content, I've got
The
it by
Canadian Bro
tons.
Show. We represent talent. Johnny,
Thank you, Pauly.
dude is
Cheers.
talented.
Thank you.
We have to find a way to get some more of his stuff. But in the meantime, I'm going to stay in my zone, in my lane, and I'm going to go to where Johnny, because we prep before our episodes, so maybe that's why he let it slip on my next one, which is Ian Fleming. And I love me some Ian Fleming. I love me some James Bond. One of my favorite. I just spit on your knee.
It's fine. Well, we're even now. Even Steven. It's fine.
I think I might have missed
My
it.
dad had first editions of all the original paperbacks. Oh, she'd kept them.
Oh, God.
Dr. No.
Especially those. I mean,
From Russia with
listen
Love.
to this. Well, Ian Fleming was actually wanted to be a spy.
He was a spy. He
Well,
was a
he-
journalist, too.
Well, he was a journalist first.
And he wrote Casino Royale when he was 53, I think.
Well, I was just going to say, Casino Royale was his first
The first James Bond.
1964, 63.
And the
The first
movie
James Bond?
adaptation was very faithful. with
And
Daniel Craig.
except it was the only James Bond. There's only been 2 James Bond films from Ian Fleming that were 2 different guys that have never done another James Bond film. The first one was Sir David Niven,
Oh, right.
Casino Royale.
Which
and
is
then-
much more comedic.
What's that?
Casino Royale. That was one with Peter Sellers, right?
No, that was a mockery of that. But
Right.
Satirical. Whatever you want to call it. With David Niven was legitimate, and then George Lazenby
Right. The Australian. Very underrated.
Yeah,
I remember as a kid,
it was okay.
I couldn't even look at him. He's
Yeah.
like, he's not Sean Connery.
Dude.
But I've seen that movie recently, and it holds up really well. And it's because he
okay.
gets married in that one. He marries Diana Rigg.
But getting back to Ian Fleming, we're not talking about George Lazenby because he had one go of it, and I really didn't think he was that special. He was the worst of all the James Bonds, in my opinion.
He's very rugged, though.
Even David Niven, well, he's more rugged than
He
David.
was good in the fight
David
scenes.
Niven would be like having a Pimm's, and playing croquet. But, James Bond,
More debonair James Bond.
I don't think so. But Ian Fleming wrote Casino Royale, Live and Let Die, Moonraker, Diamonds Are Forever, From Russia with Love, Dr. No, Goldfinger, For Your Eyes Only. I mean, it just goes on
Very
and
prolific
on.
author.
Thunderball, The Spy Who Loved Me, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, You Only Live Twice, The Man with the Golden Gun. And my favorite, Octopussy. I don't know how they got that past, because, I mean,
That's one of my favorite Bond
what's an
movies.
Octopussy? What is that?
He liked the double entendres. The female characters
apparently.
tended to have
No.
suggestive names, shall we say.
Aren't octopuses both female and male?
You got me there.
So that's how we're going to get by the YouTube thing, because it's a family show.
Which is ironic because I'm actually studying marine biology, and I just recently got my test back. It was below sea level. That's our pun for this episode. Thank you. It's very easy to make him laugh, as you can tell.
God, that's so bad.
Great segue.
It's just hilarious. That was almost legitimate. I actually I thought it's just because John's got puns coming out of every orifice, right? Can you imagine a pun coming from the bun? Ho!
Good rhyme.
Thank you.
I saw what you did there.
Oh my God! So I'm staying with the same genre, and I'm going to. Oh no, it's your turn.
I think I'm done.
No, I thought you had one more.
That's most of my list. Nelson DeMille is another one. He writes. He's a very prolific author. His main character is John Corey, who is a anti-terrorist officer and very timely. Left after 9/11. One of his books, Nightfall, spoiler warning, which is about that. Remember that jet airliner that was down by a missile? Like it crashed.
Which one? There's been so many recently.
I can't remember what year. I want to say like early 1990s. And then John Corey gets evidence to suggest that rogue elements within the U.S. government were responsible for shooting down this plane because there's someone on the plane that they wanted
Which
to...
rogue
spoiler
government?
warnings. Well, it's kind of left vague.
Oh.
But John Corey is just about to introduce this evidence to on the day of 9/11 at the World Trade Center. So the suggestion in the book, which is really brilliant, and I'm kind of giving away the plot a little bit, is that basically terrorist attacks in 9/11
Johnny?
were initialized or initiated just to destroy this evidence. So
It's what
Nelson
happens when you run out of content.
I'm done.
Books.
You're up. That's the last one.
All right, I'm going to bang these three out really quick. 4, actually. But two of them are for us because they're Canadian content, and 2 are for me. So I'll just finish for me. Robert Ludlum. Again, the genre of espionage, spy.
The Bourne Identity.
Love it. And that's why I brought it up, because he did so much more than The Bourne Identity, but I really enjoyed The Bourne Identity, and I've read almost all of his album.
Was that Matt Damon movie faithful to the book or not?
Yes.
It was?
Yeah, pretty much. And Matt actually is a great actor, and it was well written, and I really enjoyed it. That's why I was so successful. Matt doesn't really like it, doesn't like a lot of the content he won't do anymore. But my mom read all that stuff too, so she had like 1,000 books.
Okay.
And I read all of them. I'd start with one and just go through the entire thing. And there were some female books, some stuff, weird stuff, esoteric stuff. But I read all of his, and I really enjoyed it, and that's that.
Okay.
I'll go to the next one.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'm done.
Which is Oliver Stone.
Good call.
Because I love a little bit of darkness. I like.
More famous for directing, but he also wrote most
He
of
was
the
a writer
movies.
before he became a director.
Yeah, Salvador. Great movie.
Well, that was
James
even
Woods.
before that. That
Platoon.
wasn't even his first. Platoon was his big one.
Breakout.
But even before that was Midnight Express.
Oh, yeah.
Which
I have
was-
not seen.
Yeah, you have to see it. We talked about it in the pre-show.
Right.
And it is Academy Award-winning film. It's
Billy
incredibly Billy Hayes. It was incredible. It's dark. It's really good. That was his first one. And then Platoon, of course, he had written prior to that. But like when one of our favorite authors, who we haven't brought up, although I did mention him in a past show, was when he wrote his first novel that he wrote, but he didn't. Everybody ignored it. Was True Romance.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Right.
And then of course when it sold, and it blew up, his career just took off. So just because you're a prolific writer,
Oliver Stone directed Natural Born Killers, which Quentin Tarantino wrote.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why I brought it up, and I love that film. It's very dark, and Oliver Stone was dark. So Platoon, Midnight Express,
Wall
dark.
Street.
Scarface,
Scarface.
Salvador,
Right.
Nixon, Wall Street, Savages.
JFK.
Great Savages, which is the last one. So Oliver Stone is very talented, and he's a great writer, and he's a great director. And
his movies are gripping.
I just love
Regardless, even if you disagree with his politics, it doesn't matter.
Who cares?
It's a great drama.
I don't care about politics.
I never let that get into it.
I don't care about politics.
Yeah,
I mean,
too.
look at the Gong Show that's going on in the States right now. By the way, what happened today, and aside from the alarm going off in this video, is the current president of the United States stepped away and is going to allow his vice president to now run against the orange Mussolini. And it's just shocking.
Don't pull any punches, Paul. Tell us what you really think.
I can't stand the orange Mussolini. He's just a scumbag.
I never watched the news, so I have no idea what he's talking about.
Anyways,
I'm
he
an
doesn't.
ostrich.
No, he doesn't watch.
No, never.
Politics. But groundbreaking what happened today, and Kamala Harris is going to be the new president, fighting against the orange Mussolini, and I'm just fast. Pete Buttigieg, the first African American Indian female president.
Wow.
And she brings on Pete Buttigieg, the first vice president who is openly, can you say gay? I guess so. Isn't that what it is?
I can't keep up with
He's just
whatever
he's
the proper
a man.
terminology is.
He's a man that's married and has a kid and he's in love, right? And so if it's going to be Harris and Buttigieg, let's go. Get rid of the orange Mussolini.
Okay, that was a sidebar.
Anyways, sorry. So the next two
That was an epic
authors are
sidebar.
Canadian. The first one's an old friend of mine named Jonathan Brown.
Oh, right.
I played basketball against him in sports, and he's in LA. He's going to be on our show. We're going to bring him on as a guest, and he's very talented. And he does the same genre that Johnny likes to write in, crime crime in the 50s. But he's also a talented musician. So he wrote "Don't Shoot the Drummer," Lou Crasher, Thriller, Drum Roll Please, A Boxing Trainer's Journey, Moose's Law, The Big Crescendo, Characters What Counts, Chloe. He's a very talented writer. He just won the Literary Titan Book Award, whatever that means. Happy for him, Jonathan. He's in LA. He's going to be on our show, and hopefully Jonathan can help Johnny get a literary agent. And my last one is an honorable mention. Is another Canadian writer, and he is my good friend, Johnny Leister. And he's an amazing writer, and we're going to find him an agent.
I can feel my rosacea expanding.
I'm telling you, it actually looks pretty good today, and in the shade. And his.
I like to think it makes me look tough. You should see the other guy.
Oh
That's
my
what I tell
God!
people when they
And
ask me about
especially
it.
because Lee Hacklin is essentially his darker version of Johnny.
He's my avatar.
He might-
something I think a lot of writers do.
He might look friendly and kind and generous,
Yeah.
but don't
But
get him
much
in a dark
tougher.
alley
He's
when he's carrying a weapon.
he's pretty ruthless, my hero.
Oh,
But
I mean,
in a good way. Always on the side of good.
yeah, he's
just.
He's a cautiously optimistic, ruthless.
He's very.
Psychopath.
I like to think of him as righteous. He's a righteous man.
Eloquent once again. Episode 7, the Canadian Bro Show.
Is that it? We're done?
I think so. I think we've had a good run here. We had the alarm. Let's pack it in before people start nodding off. And
Thanks for watching.
thank you very much for
This
watching.
is a lot of fun for us.
The Canadian Bro Show, Episode 7. We did writers and novels. We've got more content coming next week. once a week. We're going to bang out a couple episodes. And Canadian Bro Show, all things Canadian with Pauly.
Right. And Johnny.
And Johnny, your
Thank
name
you so
is?
much. John Leister.
John Leister.
That's what's on my BC ID anyway.
And your shameless plug for the Spotify?
Lee Hacklin. I have my own podcast, the Johnny's Way podcast, which can be heard on Spotify. And anybody out there who is interested in reading any of my short stories or books, my email is johnleister611@hotmail.com. And time permitting, I've done this before. And I have a group, Facebook group page called Johnny's Way. Over 800 members. Not to beat my chest about it, but pretty cool. And I write what I like to think are uplifting and inspirational essays about self-manifestation.
That's excellent.
And
And congratulations on having that.
Congratulations
That
to you too.
and I don't really have anything more to add except that I'm a licensed realtor, a landlord, a property manager of my own modest portfolio for 21 years. I'm a retired basketball player professionally and a retired actor, and I'm just kind of retired basically. And I'm really happy to be here with Johnny and with the Canadian Bro Show. That's our logo above. Thank you for joining us. Please comment, please like, and be a part of this show. And if you enjoy this content, Johnny, let's just keep on banging him out.
Absolutely. Can I say one more thing about Paul Bale?
Oh.
He's a complicated man.
Ooh.
But no one understands him but his woman.
Ooh. Wow. And it's a good thing she's not here because she wouldn't say anything anyways. She'd be like, ¿por qué?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We love
Canadian
you.
Bro Show, all things Canadian. Pauly,
Johnny, cheers.
we love you.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Believe in yourself. There's only one of you in this world. You're not here to watch it go by. You're here to be a part of it.
Peace, love, and happiness.
And we like to think that we're setting an example.
We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Peace. Bye.